Hi there, welcome to Painting with Jasmine Rempel Art. I'm Jasmine and today I'm going to paint a snowman bookmark. It's been a very long time since I've done a tutorial, so bear with me as I go through the process and remember how it all works. I have a lot of supplies here, and as I use them I'll let you know what I'm using. Typically when I do bookmarks I do two together. I'm just going to work on one during this video. What I have here is Strathmore cold pressed watercolor paper. I cut it into 2" by 7" strips, and I use this for my bookmarks. So I already have a little sketch on here, but I'm just going to outline it darker so that you can see the process I did for the sketch. I created a bit of a horizon line, and then I'm putting in my bottom snowball and the top ones, the middle one, and the head. I want to make sure you can see that okay. Yep, looks like you can. And then I sketch in a little hat, a toque, and a scarf, and some stick arms. And I'm going to have this snowman holding a little bird, or the bird is resting on its branches. Probably a little chickadee it'll be. And so it's looking down, its carrot nose towards the chickadee. That is basically the sketch that I'll be using. What I'm going to do right now is to mask out this chickadee and the snowman's nose using this drawing gum and quite a small brush. This is a professional watercolor brush, Windsor Newton, and it's a 0. I have some ivory soap here, and I put my brush in water and I'm just rubbing my brush on the ivory soap so that when I put it in the drawing gum, the brush bristles later will come out clean. All right, just dipping it right in there, and I'm just going to go in and mask out this little bird so that it stays nice and white when I apply my watercolor to the center of the snowman. All right, I'm also going to repeat that with this little carrot nose. I particularly want it masked out over the scarf. There we go. I'll clean off my brush in some water, and that will dry. Now what I'm going to do is to go in and apply my background color. I'll move my brushes out of the way and use this palette area, this little mixing area. I'm reaching for my number 8 silver black velvet brush. This is a round brush, and I'll use this to apply some water into the background and then some color. I typically don't leave my sketches on this dark when I paint. I'm just leaving it on for you, and later I'll go and lift out what I can. All right, you can see I'm tilting my board. I'm reaching into some water, and I'm going to start applying water around my positive shape of the snow person here. I don't mind if the paint ends up going over the arms, because the arms I'll put in later with a dark value. So the reason I tilt my board is so that I can see where the water is going based on the shine it has in the light. I want the entire background to be wet, and I'm going to apply wet paint onto it Sorry if you're getting dizzy here, thus creating a wet on wet effect. Again, just working around this shape. Being careful in the corners. Super. I want to go back into some areas where it may have dried, and I'm just applying a little more water. Okay, that is wet. It's nice and shiny. It's got a nice sheen to it. I'm ready to get some color. So I'm reaching into Prussian blue. It's a nice dark value blue, and it will, if I use it, it will end up allowing the snowflakes that I put on to really be very visible. I'm applying a little bit of Payne's gray into there. All right, I'm just going to start tapping this mixture of Prussian blue and Payne's gray here and there around this snowman. Snow person, I don't know if it's man, snowman, snow girl. Decide along the way. You'll notice that I'm just tapping in color and letting it bleed out, as opposed to actually painting it in strokes. I'm reaching into this nice Windsor Violet. I'm going to mix that in with my Prussian blue mixture, and I'm going to apply some of that in some areas as well and let these colors blend together a bit. I want a nice dark value in the background. Oh yeah, that is lovely. It's definitely nice and dark. Good. All right. I want a little more of that Prussian blue. Just gonna put it up here near the top. Turn my board a bit so it bleeds out. Rinsing my brush. All right. Now that I have this, I'm going to get some salt. I'm not going to bring it all the way up to the top. I'm okay with it having a little bit of white there. I'm going to end up trimming the corners here eventually. So I'm reaching into some, I just have a little container of kosher salt. I'm reaching into this kosher salt, and I'm just going to sprinkle some around the snow person. And then I need to let it dry naturally. So I'm going to turn off the camera and I'll come back to you once it's dry. In the meantime, I'll probably start to sketch one on this side. Okay, this is dried mostly naturally, and when these forms were the size I wanted, I blow dried the rest, and then I rubbed off the kosher salt. In the meantime, I've done another sketch of another snow person, and this time I have masked out two little birds and a nose, and I splattered some of the masking fluid or drawing gum so that I would be able to save some little white snowflakes. All right, now it's time to get to work on this snow person. So I'm going to start with some of these snowballs. I'll start with the bottom one, and what I'm going to do is just fill in this circle with water. Again, doing the wet on wet technique, and then I'm going to add some a shadow color to give this snow man form. There we go. There's the water. And I've used Prussian blue back here, so I'll continue with the Prussian blue and the yellow, but I'm going to add a little bit more Payne's gray to this. Just mixing up a Prussian blue, the purple, and the Payne's gray. And the purple was actually Windsor Violet. There we go. That's a nice dark value. And I'm just going to tap it in to the right hand side, create a shadow, persuade it a bit to move into that water. That's quite dark. That's okay. Watercolor always dries lighter. I'm cleaning off my brush, and then I'll just move this out a little more, and it will dilute the color into that water. So what I have is a nice gradient of dark value to lighter value. Great. I'm going to get a smaller brush. What I was using there was a number 4 silver black velvet round brush, and for the face I'm going to use an even smaller one. This is a number 2 of the same type of brush. First, water into the circle, half circle because of the duke. When I have too much water on my brush or too much paint, you'll notice I just have some paper towel here and I just dab my brush onto it. Paper towel soaks up a bit of the extra. All right, that is wet. Reaching in to the same color I used on the bottom circle to create the illusion of a 3D shape, 3D sphere. Little snowball. There we go. Same thing. Half the face is in shadow and half is in the light. I won't do this middle ball yet because this one isn't dry enough. What I'll do is I'm going to work with the hat, but I want to remove some of this pencil. Great. All right, I'll start with this portion of the hat, and I need to decide what color I want to use. I want a nice bright color to contrast with this cool, so I think I will move into maybe an orange hat. I have here a Cadmium Orange. I'm using Winsor Newton Professional Watercolors. I'm going to apply this wet on dry. I didn't dry this bit of paper this time. I just have wet paint, and I'm just going to paint it right in, fill in this little shape. That orange is striking against that background. Just pops. There we go. I love that. I want to lift off a bit on the left hand side, so I've cleaned my brush and now I'm drying my brush with a tissue, and I'm going to run this dry brush right along the edge here. It's going to pick up some of that orange paint and create a little highlight. And then I'm going to take just a tiny bit of Cadmium Red, mix it into that orange, and add in a bit of this darker value with the red into the more shadowy side. Again, going with the light to dark. Lifting out just a little more with a dry brush. Okay, I think I'm actually going to take some of this blue while this is wet and tap a little bit of that blue in, just a very little, and brush it in a bit. This is a tender act. You really don't have to do it. It's just adding a little more shadow. I have to be so careful here not to put too much. There we go. Did it. Good. This feels dry enough now. I can do that center circle. I've got number 4. I'm basically using small, medium, and large brushes for small, medium, and large areas. Okay, once again, I'm just going to wet right on top of the bird, because the bird has that drawing gum, or I call it masking fluid. So when I have a different brand, it's masking fluid, and it's basically rubber on rubber cement. Actually, I don't know if it's rubber cement. It is rubber on top of the paper. It's stuck on there, but it will rub off. All right, same color, same shadow color, tapping it in, just like I did on the first and second ball. And this little snow person is just starting to come alive. Tapping it. This time I'm kind of mottling the tapping so that it's purposely has some lighter areas. It'll kind of give the effect that the snow is bumpy, has some texture. And I'm going to pull some of that out. Lovely. Okay, good. I can work in the hat here. Color choice. I could leave it white. Maybe I'll do that. So to leave it white though, I am going to want to add, just the same as the snowballs, I'm going to want to add some shadow, so it has form. I'll go into this with a bit of this. And again, this is wet. I added water first, so it's bleeding from the right side over to the left side. There we go. Same thing with this tiny little pom-pom. Getting it wet. Reaching into my shadow color, tapping it in just to the right. Letting it bleed out towards the left. Great. Now, there's a scarf. If that's dry enough, it's not dry enough, so I'm not going to touch the scarf yet. I'll create a cast shadow down here, just rubbing off some of that graphite. Get my larger brush, my number 6. My number 8 seems to have taken wings. Number 6 will do, and I'm wanting to build a shadow coming out in this direction. So I'll use all the same colors, but I want it to be darker than any other color I have here, except perhaps the background color. Taking a bit of the purple again. There we go. All right, I have a very wet brush with wet paint. I'm doing wet on to dry. I'm just going to follow along the shape of the bottom of this snowball. Bring this out. And then I'm cleaning off my brush a bit. Bringing that out so it runs out a little. And then creating the other portion up, going off the page. Looks like it's floating a bit here, so I want some of that darker color to reach around a little further. There we go. Doop. Nice. Right, it's dry enough. I can do my scarf. Just want to get rid of some of those graphite lines, but I'm being careful because I don't want to rub off any of that rubber cement on the nose. All right into my nice orange color. You know, thinking about it being orange, my nose is going to be orange, so you might not actually see the nose, so I'm going to change the color. I'm going to make this scarf red. Okay. There we go. Keeping that snowman nice and warm, and bring down a little part here. Let it be a bit ragged, that's okay. There we go. It's nice. It looks nice and warm now. And I'm cleaning off my brush and drying it, and again I'm just going to lift a little bit of that color up. The sun is hitting it there, and a bit of the blue. I'm going to tap it while it's still wet. Oh, not enough blue. So it just kind of carries out a bit into that red to be a shadow here. Do the same. Oops, that's quite dark. That's okay. I'll just lift it off. I dried up. Sometimes it's just a matter of fixing mistakes, and that's fixed. Good. I'll let that dry. Cute. Okay, let's do a bit of the facial features. I have here a number 1 Winsor Newton. It's a rigger brush, but I actually think I'm going to go to the 0 round brush. And I want some Payne's gray. I'm going to give it some eyeballs. Looking down at that sweet little bird. And let's give it a button. The bird is covering the other button, but then there can be one down here. A couple of buttons. And I'm just going to lift off a tiny bit of that so it's not quite so dark. Good. Looking really sweet. I'm going to go into my straight Prussian blue and use this and just make it quite wet. Just run a little bit here. Add a little variety in the snow. I've tapped the purple. I'll tap a bit of that in as well. And wet brush, just run it along the top so it's not so sharp of a line. There we go. And run it in some places along the bottom. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Who doesn't love painting? That's what it is. It's nice, nice, nice. All right, I think I'm going to make the arms now. Stick arms using my rigger brush. I'm reaching into burnt umber. And I'll add a little bit of Payne's gray to that. I want it to be quite a thick consistency, so it's dark. And I'm just going to start at the shoulder level and just twist my brush a bit, because these are sticks after all. There's one arm. So cute. And then the other arm's pretty important because the bird is on it. So out, in, and under that little bird. And there's parts of its, oh, that's so cute. It's holding. Okay, good. Might be even another one over there. sure that I love all those there, but I'm probably being very finicky and need to just leave it. What I can do is tap so it's not quite so dark, and I can even wet down and lift off some of it. Just felt very strong in color. That's better. Make it darker here, here, by the bird and under the bird. Great. All right, it's time to do the nose. So I've got a little rubber cement square. I'm just gonna take off that drawing gum and paint in my nose. It's nice and white right now. I'm going straight into my Cadmium Orange. I'll take it straight out of the tube or out of the palette. Bring it down. Aw, sweet, very sweet. I'll add a tiny bit of the blue to the right side of the nose. Give a little indication of a shadow there. And I think I'm reaching to my red right now, my Cadmium Red. I just want to do some bit of lines in here. Add some interest to the hat. All right, I'd like to do this little bird. Almost done. Perfect. Okay, so I think I'm going to make it into a chickadee. So to do that, I need my Payne's gray. I feel like I can get you a little closer for this. There we go. Okay, I have to think about what a chickadee looks like. It's been a little while. Oh yes. A little black cap. I might end up turning into another bird. That's okay. Then I want some brown. I'm reaching into, this is a raw umber. It's belly. Nice. And then I want some gray. So I'll go to Payne's gray and dilute it with water, and that can be for up here, this wing area. And then for the tail feathers, we'll have it at least saturated Payne's gray so that it looks almost black, which I used for the black cap of the chickadee. That's pretty sweet. Good. I think that will do. Let's zoom you out. All right. The next thing I want to do is sign this and add some, maybe some white gouache. Just sign with some of this darker value, maybe add a bit of more purple to it. There we go. JR, Jasmine Remple. All right, so that is complete. Next, I would peel it all off and begin working on the other one. I'll show you some of mine that are complete, what I do with them after it's peeled off. So I end up just cutting the corners into a curve, and then I laminate them and add a little tassel. And then I have a nice little bookmark gift to give. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. And I should be back to do another. Bye for now.